as we get started with our spring break. So actually, let's take a look as Starkville is now experiencing a lot of that rainfall making their way through. I bet Highway 12 not going to be looking as dry as it was just a few seconds ago. There we go. Take a look at that heavy downpour as it makes its way through North Mississippi. This camera down here, which I think I can shift just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. We were just taking a look at this camera a few minutes ago, and we can kind of see almost a clearer, kind of sunnier sky towards the south as that line continued to not really affect anybody south of it. And now you can see just those hazy, gray, cloudy conditions. You can see that rain hitting the road. So even some puddles trying to form is just how fast it can fall out and just start falling for those out there on Highway 12, kind of almost seeing some sheets of rain as well. So definitely some windy conditions out there in Starkville region as people continue to kind of make their way to any afternoon plans they have. Kind of starting to see that rain pile up just a little bit on Highway 12, just kind of showcasing that how heavy it can be, how fast it can come down. But once you make it through that initial line, you're going to be good to go for the rest of your evening ahead. We can even go back just a little bit further northwest into the county as that line has already kind of moved on through. Still 75 degrees, feels like 77. We're going to continue to expect that temperature to fall just slightly into the evening hours ahead, but that wind direction coming in around 21 miles per hour out of the north, good sign that we're going to start to see that wind help us feel a little bit cooler and feeling a little bit better as we get ready for the evening ahead. So let's take a look at Columbus as we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did for Starkville, how we see these dry conditions. Take a look at that actually. It's almost kind of sunny. Those clouds breaking just a little bit before this line makes its way there. So kind of seeing those dry conditions for everybody on their way home from any plans or trying to get to any before the rain hits. So 82 degrees, we can compare that to Starkville. We're already dropping down into the low to mid 70s. But we're going to start to see kind of more rainy conditions make their way to Columbus. Great visualization of that is this right here on this camera here, kind of on US 82 facing kind of more that southwest or eastern, southwestern. I had it right the first time, second guessing myself. Kind of seeing those darker clouds in the background as that's what's eventually going to make its way towards Columbus and Lowndes County. And you're going to start to see that heavier rain start to affect you guys out there. Hopefully that guy will get back in his car because he'll have a soggy rest of his evening. So that rain's going to continue making its way closer and pretty much tracking along 82, getting closer towards Columbus and pretty much along Highway 45 as well. But still very disorganized, nothing really impressive that we've seen today continues to be the story. Just kind of some more stratiform rain behind it, just a soggy forecast. But most of us here in North Mississippi, we're continuing to get into the all clear, not really affect us. Now let's come back northwest into Alabama, and we can see that warning shifted just a little bit. Still affecting those out there in Lawrence, Alabama, even into Franklin, and those are the only two counties as of right now. Still expiring around 4:15. Let's see if that storm's trying to regain just a little bit of strength as compared to where it was earlier. We can kind of see why they did that. And we can see probably what's keeping it going just a little bit. That little section right there starting to regain just a little bit of its strength. And notice actually it's the gust front. That's what's allowing it to happen. It just kind of pops out of nowhere. Take a special look at that. That gust front moves on through, kind of pops up those showers, gets absorbed into that little storm making its way through. So that's what's keeping that warning going just a little bit longer as that gust front continues to do a lot of work for that storm as it makes its way through. So let's do another storm track on that. Let's make sure this is best visualized for you guys so y'all can kind of see what we're talking about. Let's go back to now, and then let's do this. And gust front, not as obvious, so kind of hoping to see that kind of decline just a little bit more. Let's go around 34 miles per hour. Talk about those that are about to get it most recent. Shift this over just a little bit. There we go. Gold Mine right around now, and New Hope Brilliant as it is right on top of you guys. But as we take a look for the next few minutes, for those that will get impacted pretty soon, Grayson 356, Rock City 4 o'clock, Pleasant Hill 4, German Crossing 405, Rock Creek 406, Texas 407, same thing for Monfield, Andrews Chapel, Campground, Piney Grove, and then New Georgia at 410. So we can even shift this over just a little bit to talk about some other cities that will be affected. Lynn around 407, Double Springs 410, Addison 414, Carbon Hill 422, Coleman 439, Good Hope 442, Jasper 446, and Dodge City around 451. So that system and line continues to make its way further into Alabama, and we can kind of see that gust front putting in a lot of work for that system to kind of trying to keep that severe intensity. Again, not tracking anything tornadic with this, probably not even hail. It's probably just those windy conditions, which let's go back. Let's take a look at our threats as it continues moving on through. Again, peak threats, that cell that kind of just popped up with that cold front. We can see why it's probably thinking that. I bet it's around an inch of hail. So there we go. That's what is possible with this system as it continues moving on through, and an inch of hail would prompt a severe thunderstorm warning, so definitely possible. I know Matt was talking about those windy conditions around 60 miles per hour, I think is what he was talking about earlier. So could definitely see that continue to blow on through North Mississippi, affecting those out there in Franklin. It continues shifting just a little bit more, not as prominent. We saw that inch, now it's probably just around half an inch if I were to guess with that lighter blue. There we go. Yeah, half an inch of hail within that region. We can zoom in just south of Hickory Grove, Martintown, just southwest of Posey Mill as well. We can even get this as well. Let's close that out if it'll let me. I still got the Doppler on. There we go. And try this again between Hepzibah and Hickory Grove, still around half an inch of hail. Again, of course, this is peak threats. This isn't what's actually occurring. It's just the possibilities as that storm continues to try to build up its strength or maintain it as well. So if you get any pictures of hail, please let us know. Don't go out there trying to find it, but if you see some on the windowsill or just outside, you can snap a picture, let us know, send it in. That way we can kind of know what's going on and give those reports to the National Weather Service so they kind of understand what's going on as well. Here's another kind of impressive cell making its way through Bryn and towards Piney Grove, Thornhill, Glen Mary, Natural Bridge. Y'all are going to start to see that make its way closer and closer towards you guys. We'll shift south and do another kind of storm track on this as well. Kind of, you can see that gust front as well. That could provide some more lift for these cells to kind of keep moving along with this line. Let's move this out. I'm gonna reshift this just a little bit and get a better track on it. All right, let's try this again. Here we go. We'll go kind of right in front of it, in between that and the gust front, as it could provide lift for some more storms around 34 miles per hour. So for those most recently going to be closer going to get impacted, Brookside around 357, Tucker 358, Rock City 401, Bluff around 407, same as Bobo, 408 in Crossville, Glen Allen in 409, Kirkland in 410, same for Stewart and Lynn. 414 for Spring Hill, Eldridge at 415, Ashbank at 417, and Clark at 418 as well. Let's change the setting on this. I keep clicking on the wrong one. I don't know why I do that every time. There we go. Let's switch this to, let's go to, there we go. Lynn around 410, Kansas 421, Carbon Hill at 424, Fayette at 427, Barry around 447, and the Jasper community around 448. So that's a look at kind of that line continuing to make its way further into Alabama, starting to exit North Mississippi. And we can take a look back here in the Golden Triangle region, West Point. They just kind of got some of that rainfall continuing to move on through. Same thing for here in Starkville. Choctaw County, not seeing anything too impressive as I continue to shift that over so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Just kind of some more rain, just kind of more disorganized and unimpressive on the southern side of this line for those affected out there along South Mississippi. Take a look at this gust front as it continues moving on through North Mississippi, that faint green line, and we can kind of see some of those bubbles starting to pop up just a little bit along US 45, along Highway 45, even just south of 82. So you could see that continue to affect and prolong some of those storms just a little bit more. Let's put this on a loop for the past hour to see if that's kind of what's going on. Yeah, you can take a look and see some of those starting to pop up just a little bit, start to merge with the incoming line, kind of bringing in that fuel, but also kind of cuts it off as well because it's all fighting over the same thing. The good news for today, not much to go around, so not tracking out anything too intense. So let's go take some looks at our cameras, which we can go actually to West Point and within that area, as they are definitely receiving some rain, which I'll have to see if I can get that shifted over on a different window, but definitely rainy out there in West Point. Take a look at that temperature difference in Columbus. We were talking about those low 80s, mid 60s already in West Point. Those dew points dropping as well. Low 60s will definitely enter the upper 50s soon That's 17-mile-per-hour winds coming out of the north as well. Let's go to Columbus, as that line pretty much is almost on top of you guys now and about to start affecting y'all. There we go. This camera was dry and sunny a few minutes ago. Well, we're starting to see those rainy conditions make their way to you. And thankfully, we're going to start to see those temperatures start to fall as well. 82 degrees out there in Columbus, not going to be for too much longer. Feels like 84 with those muggy, humid conditions that dew point in the mid 60s. But that southerly motion, it's going to start to rotate, flip, start coming out of the north as well. That's going to provide some relief. Let's take a look out here in Noxubee County, as y'all will still see dry and pretty warm conditions if our camera will come in. I don't think, there we go. We're looking at the post right now, but we'll have to wait and I can rotate that for you guys in just a second. But 83 degrees, feels like 84, dry conditions. You can see kind of those sunnier conditions as well. But that 13-mile-per-hour winds coming out of the south, allowing you to feel just a little bit muggy and warm as you go about your afternoon hours. Once that line makes its way closer to you guys, you're going to start to feel cooler pretty quickly. Because I'd say that's the trend I've read in the comments today, that all of y'all have enjoyed seeing how fast the temperatures have not necessarily dropped, but have felt a lot better. So I know we've enjoyed this spring-like weather, but I think we're excited to kind of get closer towards average for maybe just a few hours and provide us a break from these pretty much spring, summer-like temperatures making their way towards North Mississippi. Let's look at this on a broadened scale. We can actually see several thunderstorm warnings within the Jackson area, trying to make towards Azazi, and we can cut there and impressive lightning strikes as well, as we can start seeing that move through.
So here's a point of what's the word I'm looking for? What is the thing? The pet peeve of mine. Thunderstorm warning versus severe thunderstorm warning. It is a severe thunderstorm warning. Otherwise, the entire state's a thunderstorm warning.
Okay. No, that's good to know.
That's a pet peeve. Anyway.
No, that's now a pet peeve of mine. I didn't realize I was saying that. So now I'm going to get on to myself if I say it again. I appreciate that. So now we're seeing those severe thunderstorm warnings make their way closer towards our region. They're kind of coming from the southern portions of our state, pretty much along Jackson. So those are going to continue making their way a little bit closer towards our viewing area, especially for those out there in Tala and Kosciuszko. So could start to see those rainy conditions, which we can actually go to our camera. Oh, excuse me. Let's do this one. There we go. I was looking at the Ackerman one, but let's go to Kosciuszko right now. So you can already start to see, I'm covering it up just a little bit. Those darker reds, they're going to start making their way a little bit closer to you guys in Natala County as that line continues making its way through. But for us here on the camera, which I'm wondering if that's some of that heavier precip making its way closer to you guys, kind of seeing that rainfall get a little bit closer. But low 70s, 73 degrees, feels like 75. That northerly wind, 17 mile per hour. Still some rainy conditions within that region. Could start to see a little bit more as that line gets a little bit closer to you guys. Let's actually go back to that Ackerman camera. Don't want to gloss over that. We can definitely tell those dark gray clouds off in the distance. 66 degrees. Feels like well, not definitely feeling, and for those can still feel, so definitely way through North Mississippi, cooler for the afternoon, evening hours ahead. So that's where we can kind of see where that more active weather is, with some of those severe thunderstorm warnings popping up just a little bit, which let's actually change it to Jackson. Just get a better visual on this, which that is kind of a little very impressive with this warning. Let's go to now. Talk about those DBZs kind of popping up, very bright pinks popping up. Let's get hail track on that to see. I bet you hail could be possible with this as it continues moving closer towards Johns, Rock Hill, and pretty much just along Highway 18 within that region. So the southern portions and pretty much just over Cato as it continues moving through your area just southeast of Jackson. Let's go back towards our wind, make sure we're not spotting any couplets or anything within this region. Not seeing anything too specific. Let's zoom out, put this on a lapse. See gusty conditions, but nothing screaming tornado or any couplets here. So definitely a good sign as we continue to track this out. Kind of impressed to see those brighter returns, but the good news is we're not seeing any bright reds along with it, kind of showing that rotation could be taking place within the storm. So just showing pretty much wind affecting you guys out there within the Jackson region as it makes its way through the area. Let's continue looking at, let's go to peak threats. I don't think I touched on this one yet. Yeah, that high DBZ we were just talking about, take a look at your peak threats. Just talking about, now, there we go. There we go. Where we could start to see some hail. This is 3 inches or plus. I would be shocked if we saw something like that. Again, this is why it's called peak threats, not really what's expecting, but what could be possible with this. So I would expect most of these warnings were probably issued just due to those windy conditions and possibility of hail. Notice a lot more blue.
I think we're probably seeing some hail out of some of those there, I'd say.
Okay.
I'd say severe hail is not unreasonable. 3 inches is overdoing it, but you know, inch
I
hail,
can see an inch.
Yeah. Also, what are DBZs?
The DBZs, the return of the particles.
It's the reflectivity, right?
Yes.
So it's a highly reflective, so very intense precipitation. I'm going to make you say something other than high DBZ return.
Okay.
That's one of those things that means something to you and me and might not mean much to the viewer at home. Basically,
yes.
A very heavy storm, very high reflectivity.
I got that Dr. Brown lingo in my head right now.
It's okay. It takes a long time to purge it. Go for it.
All right. Well, yeah, instead of those high DBZs, we could talk about that reflectivity. And hailstones, they're highly reflective in the atmosphere. And so that's what could cause some of those higher, just brighter colors start to pop up on our radar, which we could take a look at again right here, going back to our reflectivity. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe that hail up in the atmosphere is kind of causing those brighter returns start popping up here with that storm affecting those out there in John towards the west of Rufus. So wouldn't be surprised to see this associate out there in Jackson with those severe thunderstorm warnings as they continue moving further and further northeast, getting closer, which I was going to say we're starting to see some pink pop up for us, but that's just due to us being on the Jackson radar. So let's do that, come back. There we go. So a little bit more disorganized here, especially in the Golden Triangle region. As that line continues moving on through, you can still see that gust front as it continues providing those wind gusts and just lift as it acts as a bulldozer, is what Matt called it, for these storms and the line behind it to allow it to kind of keep pushing forward throughout North Mississippi. Let's go northwest again because we did have that severe thunderstorm warning we were tracking out. Still ongoing, which we can do another track on it. Let's make sure nothing shifted. We'll put it on loop for the past hour to kind of get that general direction of it. And I know it's still pretty much going around 30 miles per hour. So then let's switch it back to now. Get that storm track on it. We'll track those out. All right. A little bit too fast. We'll go around 33. All right. Let's take a look at those and kind of who it's going to affect soon. Rabbittown around 407. Jeston at 409. Pumpkin Center 410. Pleasant Hill 415. Oak Ridge 416. Lynn 419. Rock Creek 422. Valley View around 422. Andrews Chapel 424. Georgia 424. And Campground, Piney Grove, and Double Springs around 425. So let's move this up just a little bit more to cover some more cities. Double Springs around 425. Hartselle around 425 as well. Falkville 435. Addison 440. Ardley 448. West Point in 448, not West Point, Mississippi. Covering that in just a second. Eva in 452 and South Vinmont at 455. So another kind of storm track on that storm as it continues moving on into the northwestern portions of Alabama. Let's go back to West Point. Y'all are already kind of seeing that line move through. Definitely a lot more disorganized. Columbus, we can go look at some of these cameras out there in Lowndes County. Let's go to the southern part on Highway 82. Definitely those rainy conditions already sweeping through. We're seeing those temperatures already begin to drop. Low 80s was what it was reading earlier. Well, we already dropped 10 degrees or more. So 70 degrees out there in Columbus. That wind direction starting coming out of the north around 17 miles per hour. So feels like 73. That dew point's going to continue dropping. Try to show drier air moving in. It's not going to feel dry just due to how soggy we are, but not going to be as muggy as it previously was to start off the day. Let's go to West Point, Mississippi, because I did mention that earlier. Talking about those rainy conditions, continues to move on through 64 degrees, so feeling a little bit better out there in West Point, y'all have had a little bit longer of a time to bask in the cooler air. Feels like 64, and that northerly wind coming in around the low 20s. Let's talk and join the chat. Hailing in Starkville, that'll be interesting. Make sure if you do see that, send in some pictures so we can know about that. Tree fell on line in Clay County. Appreciate you guys for sending in these reports so we can try to get that to the National Weather Service. Are the cluster of patches around Jackson going to form into one big storm? Well, that's something we were talking about earlier, seeing these individual cells kind of form in the south, try to merge with the line. I'd say what's happening down in Jackson is the line. They could try to form, oops, wrong button. They could try to form into one big storm, but not expecting anything too crazy. We can go back to look at them real quick while I continue looking at the chat. We just had some really loud lightning and thunder. Not a fan of that. No, that is definitely fair. I know it can cause a little bit of stress to you guys with some higher end weather events. Thankfully, we're just going to let it blow on through, not tracking out anything intense. Just going to hear a few rumbles, see a few flashes of lightning, and it'll honestly be over before you know it. Not going to be a long term event. Just going to be really quick as that line, very thin, moves on through around pretty much the 30, 35 miles per hour. And once it kind of moves through, you're going to be good to go. Power out in Verona, so definitely going to have to check those power outages in just a second. But let's talk about these kind of cells out there in Jackson. Still seeing a lot of a return of that reflectivity out there in that cell just west of Rufus. So definitely could see some hail being a potential with this down south, seeing that return go down just a little bit. So hoping to see that trend continue into the next few scans, maybe showing that thunderstorm kind of starting to decay just a little bit. Maybe you've already reached peak intensity. But I'd say the Jackson region is starting to see a little bit more intensity as it makes its way closer towards our viewing area, but hoping to see that continue to kind of decline with those severe thunderstorm warnings as it makes its way closer, especially to those out there in Atala, which we can see that thunderstorm warning or severe thunderstorm warning just on the outskirts as well. For those out there, a little bit more of that reflectivity popping up just a little bit, just south of Loring. So could see maybe some hail associated with that, but definitely just heavy rainfall that continues to be the story as we continue into the overnight hours, the evening hours. Let me see if I can move this over. Let's go to those power outages because I know you guys were commenting on that, and we can take a look at that real quick here. And let's get our Doppler thing. So for Kosciuszko and just the Atala County, around 600, Oktibbeha around 500. I know Panola continues to be the big story, 3,000 for those in Lee, 500 as well. And for those up north, east of our viewing area, especially around 1,000 out there. And let me see if I can zoom this out a little bit so we can talk about Alcorn County as well. For those out there in Corinth, around 100, Tishomingo 300 as well. Starting to see a few starts pop up in Alabama as well, 100, 800, 300, and then 400. So especially as that line continues to move on through, we're going to see those power outages start to creep up just a little bit. Good news is, especially for those that have already been through it, we've already seen kind of what the possibilities are with those power outages, not seeing those continue to climb. So hopefully going to see those continue to decrease as we get ready for the evening hours ahead. What about Monroe County? Good news is we're actually not seeing any power outages in there right now. Let's switch back to our Columbus precipitation. Monroe County, y'all are practically pretty much in the all clear. That line is pretty much on just the southeastern tip right along the state line as it moves on through even into Lowndes County. So y'all have been through the worst of it. Y'all probably felt those wind gusts, rumbles of thunder, even some lightning flashes in the sky. But now it's pretty much just a whole lot of rain as we wrap up our afternoon and get ready for the evening. So for those in Monroe, y'all are good to go. How is Columbus and Oktibbeha? Let's take a look at those in the Golden Triangle region. Oktibbeha, y'all continue to see some heavy rainfall make its way through y'all's county, and especially in Oktibbeha. For Columbus, y'all are starting to see it as well, especially the further northwest portions of y'all's county. Starting to see that rainfall for those out in Whitebury, Forreston, Togo. Y'all are going to start to see that rainfall just a little bit more, which we can put a storm check on that. We can take a look at that gust front, helping to provide some of the lift. Let's put this on a loop so we can make sure to get the right direction for you guys as it continues moving on through. Let's put this, now. There we go. All right, go. I like going in between. That way we can see what could happen ahead of it, and then what could happen right behind that gust front. So coming around 33, for those about to be affected closer, around Cole Subdivision 415, Baker Subdivision 416, Crossville 416, Trinity 417, Cedarview 418, Whiteberry 418, Eastwood Hills 419, New Hope 419.
So you want my opinion on that?
Uh-huh.
So on the storm track, I believe you either pick one or the other, because otherwise both times are wrong, right? Okay. So like if in this case here, when we're non-severe, I would argue the one that makes the most sense is probably the gust front itself, because that's the first real impact they see. Okay. Right? So someone at home ahead of this, how fast was it? Was it 30?
Yeah, I did 33, 35? 34.
33, 34. Okay. So the first time they see is that gust front. So I would argue non-severe gust front. If you were tracking like hail in particular, you'd be back here, behind it. And so then you might track, that one there, right? Okay. And so then you specifically track the hail or whatever, and then you track the other. One of the interesting things about this that you can do is if you right click over there on your squall, you can choose which track. So if you had different tracks there, you could have the different tracks that would then populate. The only time I think that this makes sense is if you had like multiple, say, tornadoes or something like that, to where it's like, hey, we've got a track here, we've got a track, here, and we've got a track, here. The idea being that you're probably going to zoom into each of these, right? And so as you zoom into this one, that makes sense. And you come up here as we're also tracking this one. And then you have to right click and choose your track. As long as you can remember which one's your track. And it's like, okay, and then we'll revisit this one up here. And then you're not redrawing tracks. I personally think that that's too clunky. Yeah. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Perfect. All right.
So anyway, but yeah, so I would argue you track probably, because people get very attached to those times, and it can be, it's one of the most effective tools that we have for accuracy. And most of the reason why a lot of the reason why sometimes people think I'm very accurate is because I'm very specific on making sure that track is right. So you make sure that track is right, and you say, hey, it's going to be at exactly 424 there in Belk, and it's at 424, 423. People are like, man, you nailed that. Well, yes, we did. And we had, because if you take the time to get the speed right, the location right, and everything, then it's going to be accurate, and that has a big impact on people. Okay.
Perfect.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
No, I appreciate that. All right, well, then we can use that real quick and take that track Matt just drew and read through some of the lists, and we'll change it just a little bit to talk about some other cities. Dogtown at 418, Stafford 420, Millport 420, Liberty 421, Ashbank 422. I'm not going to risk it. Shaw around 424, Belk 424, Old Town at 426, Kennedy 426, and then Howard at 427 as well. Let's up this just a little bit to talk about some other cities. Kennedy 426, Carbon Hill 426 as well. Barry 449, Pickensville 452, Jasper 454, Carrollton at 455, Gordo at 504, Parrish 505, and then Sipsey and Cordova around 511. So there's the latest storm track for those kind of heading into Alabama, especially along the gust front. As Matt pointed out, that's going to be kind of the first thing you notice as it makes its way towards your area. You're going to notice that wind start picking up, feel a little bit cooler. Well, then that's probably what's making that gust front. That's what's allowing that higher wind to take place. Take a look at Lowndes County as that line continues making its way further in to Lowndes County. We're starting to see some higher reflectivity start to pop up just a little bit with some brighter returns. Zooming in just a little bit, just in the Billups, Artesia, Bent Oak region. So some heavier downpours. We can switch this towards those peak threats just to talk about maybe the potential of some hail occurring. So there we go. Of course, we can start to see that just a little bit, an inch within the Artesia region, and then half an inch for that Oak Grove or just south of Billups as well. So that continues moving on through. Latest scan still kind of showing the possibility of that as well. But notice for this system kind of further in the Golden Triangle region and for North Mississippi, a whole lot more green than blue. And that's kind of different from what we were tracking and talking about further down south into the Jackson region. So definitely kind of more just heavy rain continues to be the main event with this line as it moves through North Mississippi and then heading out across the state line and into Alabama. Someone just asked, Robin out there in Grenada, is Grenada close to it being over? Let's go to reflectivity. Y'all should be good. Y'all can see some heavier showers to the south, affecting those just south of Duck Hill, Winona, pretty much just along Vaden. But for Grenada itself, y'all saw that line kind of move through a lot earlier. Going to see a lot of those just rain continue to just bug us as we go throughout the evening. So I would expect y'all to be good to go for the rest of y'all's evening, and not even picking up on many lightning strikes out there either. So not as prominent as our more energetic cells, pretty much along that line that already blew on through. So y'all should be good to go. And y'all will be fine for the rest of y'all's evening ahead. And same thing goes for pretty much just those along I-22 further north and pretty much along Highway 6 and the northern half of I-55. For those in the northern part of Mississippi, y'all are going to be good. Y'all are fine. That line already blew on through. Y'all got to go through it a lot earlier, which means y'all get to enjoy kind of being in the all clear earlier as well. Kind of interesting to see a little hole over Bruce, not seeing much rain within that area in Calhoun County. So y'all are already doing a lot better before some more rain kind of moves on in, but not really tracking out any stormy conditions for you guys out there. I know Crystal was asking, any risk of tornado or in the clear? Well, for the clear part, it depends on where you're at. For tornado, almost all of us, not really most prominent risk. This is a high-end severe weather event. We were on the level 1 out of 5 risk for tornadoes, just for the possibility of a brief spin up or maybe some rotation trying to occur above our heads. But as we saw earlier, if you tuned into the live stream, it's around an hour ago, I think, we tried to see just a little bit of one just in the southern portions of Greenville, saw that warning prompted pretty quickly and then already immediately left. So not really talking about rotation or any shear, any tornadic activity with this event. So you're going to be good to go. Don't have to worry about tornadoes. We just wanted to kind of stay live just in case we could see those brief spin ups, and why when you see that red polygon, we can explain why that's occurring and why we shouldn't be that concerned with it during the setup. So you should be in the clear, not really worried about tornadoes with this event. It's more of just kind of heavy rainfall, heavy wind, possibility of some hail, especially for those out there in the Jackson region, and just pretty much some much needed rain here in North Mississippi. Coming back northeast, we can talk about that severe thunderstorm warning that was issued, currently not there anymore. So starting that decaying process, not as dominant and prominent as it was to start off and cause that warning to be issued. So definitely a good sign as that line continues moving further into the northwestern portions of Alabama and leaving North Mississippi. But speaking of kind of talking about that gradual scope for us here in North Mississippi, you can kind of see where that line is and away from us here with our region, especially the Golden Triangle region and further northeast. We're talking about that line continuing to push further and further out of North Mississippi into Alabama. Pretty much everybody else, we're going to continue to see that rainfall for the rest of the evening overnight period. Maybe some breezy conditions, but you're going to be fine as we get ready for that 6 and 10 o'clock broadcast later. We'll be covering a lot more future casts for the rest of your evening and getting ready for the next work week. But for tonight, for that line that's already moved on through, you're going to be good to go. Just going to be kind of a rainy into the day. You can see a little bit brighter of a band out there, getting closer towards Eupora and starting to affect those in Attala County as that storm system that's been very active in the Jackson region continues to get closer and closer towards Attala County. Let's take a look at Kosciuszko. Let's go towards our peak threats. Just kind of talk about what's going on. This is already a good sign, just seeing those a lot more green than blue. So just heavy rain continues to be the threat to us here in North Mississippi. Some hail returns trying their best to pop up just a little bit, especially those out there just outside of Louisville, around half an inch just south of High Point. And then let's go up here just east of I-55, east of Vaden and Betty, I believe, north of Carmack, starting to see some of that just a little bit. But of course, this is going to be mostly rain making its way through. Could be a little bit breezy, definitely going to be a little bit breezy, but that's about it. let's take a look at this return that's popping up, showing around an inch of hail. Let's go back to precipitation just a little bit. I think this may have been the one that had that higher reflectivity within the past few minutes, but I think it already started to fade on out. Yeah, that's what it was picking up just east of Artesia and Highway 45. So showing that that's kind of on the decaying stage, a definitely good sign. Not really seeing much hail associated with that, especially over the Bent Oak region just south of 82, heading towards Columbus within Lowndes County. So bit of lightning here in Steen. So yeah, so could still talk about this lightning. Those are kind of those white lines here on your screen showing those lightning strikes occurring across North Mississippi. I'm still pretty impressed with the lack of thunder I heard. I'll have to ask my friends within the Starkville region or just anyone across North Mississippi if they heard much thunder with this. I know some of you guys have been commenting about it, just hearing the thunder continue blowing through. Speaking of hearing it, Niagara Falls, and it's windy, and you can hear it throwing and howling outdoors. So yeah, that was kind of the theme as I went out there for my live shot earlier. I'd opened the door and it started to swing open. I had to catch it and hold it just with how windy it was, and even looking out the blinds earlier, just kind of seeing that dust and kind of leaves, some short sticks kind of blow through the wind, that flag blowing as well, just kind of very windy as well. But that's pretty much like our peak threat or intensity. We're not tracking out anything high end as we head into our evening overnight hours. The most active weather is still down south, pretty much in the Jackson region. We can still see a whole lot of those severe thunderstorm warnings continuing to take place. I think most of those are probably going to be hail driven, especially along with that wind, just that higher reflectivity continuing to be the story. And there we go. Somebody was commenting about those cells kind of merging a little bit together. You can see that just a little bit there as they kind of continue to be that one line. Velocity not showing any couplets as well, just those gusty winds continue to be the story. Not really seeing any of those green and reds kind of start rubbing against each other, showing that rotation could be taking place. So that continues to be the story for today. Want that to continue to be the story as well. But that wind kind of pretty gusty as we go through. Just that cluster of wind as we continue into the afternoon hours ahead. I'll let you get back to controlling that, Matt, if you were wanting to click to go somewhere specific. I think when I moved my mouse, it still
nope,
had
you're good. I was trying to get my mouse out of the way. Go for it.
Okay. But yeah, no, taking a look at those severe thunderstorm warnings kind of continue getting issued, expiring, reissued, just as that heavier band continues moving on through. I think this will continue to be something close to watch as it makes its way closer towards our viewing area, especially for those in Attala, Winston, and Noxubee County. But that should continue kind of moving on through as we continue. Let's put this on the peak threats so we can kind of see what it's picking up. It's still just very hail driven. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some hail falling out of this and kind of beating some of that updraft, being able to grow up in enough size to fall out of that storm. Still maybe not expecting anything too major. Could definitely see around an inch of hail, maybe a little bit more. Definitely not what peak threats are showing, which is probably around 3 inches or more if we want to stop and take a look at it, especially just here in the Richland area. Let's take a look, see what it's putting. Yeah, 3+ inches of hail. I don't really think that's feasible. Now, an inch of hail, I could totally see something like that, especially out there just east of Fannin. So continue to see probably some hail occurring out there in the Jackson area. Still just south of our region, you can take a look at all those severe thunderstorm warnings that continue to be issued by the National Weather Service. So a little bit more active and a little bit more energy out there for our region. Someone was commenting anything in Greenwood, Mississippi. Well, we can take a look for you out there. Y'all are definitely probably going to be fine. I know the Delta kind of struggled to get good scans and views of what's occurring out there, just so y'all kind of being super distant away from all the radars. But looks like y'all are just having some rain continue to bug y'all as y'all wrap up y'all's afternoon and get ready for the evening hours ahead. So continuing to not expect anything for the Greenville area, y'all are going to be good to go as y'all wrap up y'all's afternoon and get ready. 424, it just got eerily still here in Columbus. We're going to go.
I got to give you a hard time. Like that was like out of 12 words, at least 7 were y'all.
Wait, say that again?
You out of 12 words, 7 were the word y'all.
Was it?
Yeah, you were yawling all over the place.
That sounds about right.
I mean, I'll occasionally yawl. I'll give you that, but like I just had to get you a hard time.
No, it's okay. I need the hard time. It tells me what I need to work on. I think I also say as well a bunch. Don't know if I need to out myself for that, but you'll probably hear that. I'm working on that one as well. Who was it that just commented? Oh yeah, Lowndes County. Let's go take a look at some of those cameras out there in Columbus. As that line continues pushing on through, there goes our reporting station. I think it's worked hard today. Going to take the rest of the day off, just showing those cooler conditions are on the way. We can see those soggy roads as well, but that continues to be the story for those in the Golden Triangle region. Let's go to the one just a little bit further north in the county. See if that one could pull some information to Caledonia. There we go. 63 feels like 63 as well. That northerly wind coming in around 18 miles per hour up in the north. So doing a lot better, feeling a lot better, seeing that rain continue to kind of provide that cooler temperature as you wrap up your afternoon and get ready for the evening ahead. Let's go back to reflectivity, kind of track that out. Let me make sure I'm back. Columbus radar. There we go. Get the best visual on that. Starkville already starting to see that rain die down just a little bit. Could see some more heavier showers make their way closer to you guys. I know people were asking about kind of what the colors mean. Just that red shows some heavier precipitation making its way closer towards you guys. Someone was asking about Amory. Let's take a look. We can still see some of those heavier showers continuing to bug you guys, but that line moved on through, so should start to see that wind continue to die down. Just going to be still a little bit rainy as you wrap up your Saturday and get ready for the overnight period ahead. So definitely that continues to be the story for pretty much all across North Mississippi. Let's take a look out here in Louisville. Some little bit more brighter returns starting to take place just south of Louisville and just north of Estes. Let's go to peak threats. Starting to see some of that hail try to pop up just a little bit. Again, most of the concern with these peak threats, especially here in our viewing area, a lot of green, not a lot of blue, so just heavy rain continues to be the story. Could still see some of the hail try to make its way down from super high up in those clouds. Again, it's going to have to grow just a little bit before we can really start to see them, but I'd envision we'd have to see a little bit more of those severe thunderstorm warnings start taking place within our area for those to become a little bit more prominent. Not expecting any severe hail here in North Mississippi. We can see just a little bit of it trying to come up in the Crawford region between Octipahaw and Lowndes County, pretty much just around half an inch of hail, even just west of Columbus as well. Starting to shift just a little bit more southern half of Lowndes County and just south of Columbus. So starting and a little bit brighter of a return with that latest scan. You can see I think that'll probably go up towards an inch, I believe, which would technically be classified as severe hail. But the good news is not really expecting that right now. Should maybe just be suspended up there, not really making its way down. So definitely some good news as we continue tracking this out as it moves through the Golden Triangle region. Starkville already starting to see some less heavy conditions making their way towards you guys. Probably going to see just a kind of a stoppage of that rainfall for a little bit before you see a little bit more of those showers make their way closer to you guys. When will Columbus be in the clear? Y'all still have quite a few minutes as that line is pretty much right on top of you guys. Again, not tracking out any tornadic activity with this. This is just going to be that heavy precip, heavy rain, heavy wind falling on you guys. Going to be definitely breezy and kind of howling outside, maybe hearing a few rumbles of thunder, but that's about it. We're not tracking out pretty much any tornadoes, maybe a few hailstones. We saw pea-sized hail out there in Alcorn County in the Corinth region, but for you guys in Columbus, not really expecting that. Should just be some heavy rain continuing to bug y'all as y'all wrap up y'all's afternoon and get ready for supper time soon around the 4:30 mark, getting closer and closer towards dinner. We can still see some heavier bands kind of straggling behind the line just a little bit, trying to make their way closer towards Choctaw County into Eupora, Ackerman, and Ware. As that line gets a little bit closer, we can put this on the last 30 minutes just to see that slowly making its way closer and closer, you guys, just south of Duck Hill, blow through Winona, and closer towards Eupora, getting towards Webster County as well. But for those in Natala County, y'all are going to see that line continue to move on through y'all's county, get closer towards Choctaw and towards the Louisville region as well, and even into Octipahaw. We're going to see kind of that just repeated rain continue to bug us, especially in the southern portions of our viewing area. That's kind of the one bad thing. Y'all get the line on the latter part, but y'all get the longest time until y'all are kind of in the all clear time of the evening. So still got a little bit to go, but the good news is that line getting further and further pushed out of North Mississippi and pretty much starting to get into Alabama, which we were talking about that severe thunderstorm warning. Thankfully, starting to see that starting to disappear as well. Going back to that now, and the most latest scan, not really seeing any of that occurring in North Mississippi, or not North Mississippi, in the northwestern portions of Alabama. So definitely some good signs. We can still see that gust front continuing to blow on through the state line and into Alabama, allowing these storms to continue pushing on through, racing across our state, crossing the state line as well. We can put the latest storm track on that for you guys. Let me make sure this is framed just right so we can do that. Let's go along the gust front. Make sure it's traced out for you guys and go around, not that fast, go around 33. For those pretty close, around Gumbud, around now. Coal Fire, 435. Archer, 436. Beards Mill, 437. Cleveland, 438. Prairie Point, 440. Pickensville, 440. 442 for Newtonville. Barry, around 444. Aubrey, 445. Carlos around 446, Owens around 447, Saps and Concord around 447 as well, and then Dinsmore around 448. Let's move this up just slightly. Talk about some other cities. Reform around 443, Barry 444, Gordo 456, Aliceville 459, Coker at 519, Union at 530, Northport around 529, and then Gainesville and Tuscaloosa around that 532 time frame as well. So still going to be a little bit rainy as we head into those dinner, supper time hours. Good news, not tracking out anything too intense. Also kind of impressive to see that gust front continue to get a little bit further and further away from the line. So if it starts kind of outpacing it, that's a good sign, as it should hopefully start to kind of cut off that energy for those storms as well. So kind of going to want to keep seeing that trend as we continue into the evening. But we can go on the gradual scale here in North Mississippi. We can even go through a bunch of the cameras across to kind of talk about those all clears. Now we're just seeing those rainy conditions across North Mississippi. Let's take some looks across our region in North Mississippi. We can go up to Panola County, which I know we were talking about those power outages. This is out there in Batesville, 61 degrees, so feeling a lot better. Still very soggy out there as you're still experiencing some of that rain. You can see some of those low-level clouds off in the distance. Be curious if that's actually kind of facing that line that continues blowing on through. But still gray, overcast conditions with some of those rain showers continuing to bug you guys out there as you get ready for supper later on this evening. We can go out here to Oxford, which I'll need this to update, or I think it's just, actually those are kind of some clouds blowing on through. So still just a little bit muggy, but that temperature matching with that dew point, that's showing you exactly why that's occurring. So reaching that saturation, but a lot cooler than where we started earlier today in those low 80s. So definitely a toasty afternoon, but once that rain kind of moved on through, starting to feel a lot better as we continue into our evening as well. Let's come up to Tupelo, take a live look out here where our station's at. Still kind of seeing those overcast, cloudy conditions, some rain continuing to linger, but notice everybody's driving completely fine, not really seeing any of those downpours, not having to turn on those hazards and pull over anymore. So that line that kind of bugged us earlier, it's already blown on through. You're going to be good to go for the rest of y'all's evening out here in Lee County. Let's go up here into Alcorn County, where we did talk about that hail being reported. 59 degrees, feels like 59 as well. Wind very calm, but still those soggy, overcast conditions. That's going to continue to be the story as we get ready for our evening overnight hours ahead. Shelby, a lot more of a better view with some sunnier conditions out there. Some of that cloud cover just a little bit less prominent. 61 degrees, feels like 61 as well. That temperature and dew point starting to match pretty much everywhere across our region. 13 mile per hour winds coming out of the northeast, so allowing for better conditions to continue to be the story. here across our region. Let's take another look out here in Greenwood. I know someone was asking about that earlier. 63 feels like 63. That dew point just a little bit lower, around 61, but still slick roadways, just a little bit soggy as that rain continues moving on through. But not tracking out anything intense, not seeing any of those lightning flashes. The tower not even shaking. That's been the theme across all of these as that line continues to go on through. Let's actually look towards Noxubee County as that line is making its way through, which this is around 82. We're going to see a little bit windier conditions. This is facing northwest. So starting to see some of those kind of showers start to make their way a little bit closer. I'm covering up some of those higher reflections, starting to bring in just a little bit on our radar. So just north of this camera here, and you can kind of see those darker clouds as well. Kind of a little bit of that rising motion as well as it moves a little bit closer towards the camera. So still some dark and cloudy skies out there in Macon and much warmer conditions. Take a look at that wind coming out of the south, allowing that moisture to continue being provided for those storms. So got to get that line to move on through before you can really start to enjoy the cooler conditions we were just talking. Once it does, you're going to feel a lot better this evening, or at least closer to where we should be for this time of year. For West Mississippi, yeah, we were kind of just going through that, just kind of rain affecting you guys, not anything intense that y'all went through earlier today with those windy conditions and just heavy downpours. It's going to be a little bit soggy as you continue into the evening hours ahead. We can switch this up to our Memphis radar to try to give a little bit better of a picture, especially for those northwest in our viewing area. But still, just kind of soggy conditions continue to be the story, not striking out anything intense. I'd be surprised if y'all are still hearing rumbles of thunder. Those are going to continue to be a little bit more prominent along that line that continues pushing through North Mississippi. So let's come back to our radar in Amory. As that line a little bit more prominent, we can see kind of what's occurring right there. That's what blew through North Mississippi when you felt those heavier winds and rain push on through. Now almost completely out of our area, which is a good sign, but we do see kind of a little bit more southern action heading out of the Jackson region, working its way northwest. Not many severe thunderstorm warnings as we were discussing earlier. This one pretty much around Morton is still very impressive. I think this one was the one that had that high reflectivity. Let's see if we can skip this back just a little bit, see kind of how it's done. It's done pretty well, keeping those higher bands of reflectivity, kind of showing hail, probably a lot more prominent within that system as it moves on through. So let's get a track on that, actually. Let's put this past hour. And it's kind of, here's where it starts to kind of merge just a little bit with that line we were talking about. So it's going to shift directions. It's going a little bit more northeast, or kind of more northern almost. But once it kind of joins with that line, it's going to start going more that northeastern direction. And we can actually look at that gust front, which might help pinpoint the direction on where we can track this out. Let's see if I can frame this up for you guys. It'll be kind of an interesting one to draw. I'm going to watch it one more time so I can try to give y'all a good line as it kind of combines. Okay, let's go to now, and then let's draw one out. Oh, actually, wait, let me take a look at this real quick. Oops. Take that off. Let's see here. Let's switch this over and let's go. We're still in Jackson. I want to do our wind. Try to see why this is trying to pop up. See if it's anything worth noticing, because I noticed it popped up. I don't really see anything that's screaming anything tornadic or any rotation taking place. I mean, I could kind of see on this version where it might see some of that green and red trying to mix just a little bit, but in my opinion, that's not really matching up with anything that I would think is a tornado by any stretch. It could definitely try to start rotating, but I'm not even expecting that. Even on our peak threats, kind of showing more of a hail threat, not really showing much of that wind shear either, so just not really becoming as prominent for those out there in Laurel Hill in the free trade region. Taking a look at that storm relative and reflectivity, I mean, it's just, in my opinion, not impressive one bit. Matt, I know you're taking a look at this. Do you have any thoughts on that and why it's popping up?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get like ahead of the line here, and in these kind of situations, and I don't see a lot. I'm going up scans here, like basically I'm walking up the various scans on the radar, and I don't see enough there, at least not on that. Let me check. I think the alias base reflectivity, I should be able to go up the scans as well. I think maybe what it's seeing is that one little pixel there, but I don't know that I think that's legit. I'm gonna go back a scan just in case, because as you can see, I'm basically interpolating a bunch of different scans all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like if I put all the scans on, take them all off. We're gonna start low. I'll just kind of add it in. See, I think that maybe that's what it's seeing there on a couple of those scans down low, is that, hey, there might be something there, but I don't think in retrospect, kind of looking at this, I don't see it.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It really wasn't that impressive to me.
Let me double check this. Let's see if this works. Okay, this is one of those things. Yeah, I'm just like looking at the super res stuff and everything. I don't see it.
Okay, me neither. Which, while I have you, I was about to draw out that kind of track on that kind of hail sail that was making its way through the around the Jackson region. We were talking about how it started to merge just a little bit, shift directions. How would you kind of draw out that storm track?
Okay, give me so the one near Pelahatchie and Morton?
Yes, the Morton one.
Okay, so let's see here. So the way I look at this is, imagine you spill 2 cups of water, right?
Okay.
In 2 different spots, and they're both kicking out rain, cooled air is essentially what this is. Kind of two gust fronts, if you think the water like spilling on a table. How you kind of, or like you're looking in the ocean, you have 2 waves that are kind of converging toward one another. You know, I think I look at it as, you know, that is probably what we are dealing with here, where you have kind of just both the areas that are sort of kind of going the same direction. So let's pause it for that answer. So kind of ends up with sort of a C sort of shape like this, where it's all kind of like spilling this direction. I'm going to give it a little extra speed though, because if you took 2 cups of water and put them in this, the amount of water, how quickly the water would be heading toward the edge of the table would increase, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I would say on this. So something like, let's double check. You basically, in the middle of it, there's an area where you have constructive interference. It'll go somewhere like this. Your peak impacts will be pretty much right near that center line. So I try to get my track close to align with that center line, assuming that you have it kind of coming in like this and like that, and that the 2 areas of wind are kind of pushing against each other right along that, which also would be pretty close to our boundary up here, right? Pretty much right at the boundary.
Yeah.
So it's all converging at the boundary there as it kind of heads northeast. That would be my guesstimation on it. I'll bet specifically if we look at base velocity for that. Yeah, you see how there's kind of that spot in the middle there? And then sometimes you get something spin up near that. So weirder things have happened than for this to... But I would say that, even though I would say just looking at the red on the wind there, this is going more east.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, I mean, again, that's not quite right on it, but maybe we keep a little more easterly track, something like that. We need Philadelphia in the track. So I think we go back to the precip. So you get the angle right looking at this. Yeah, and so that Morton storm is just the more dominant one. If they were equivalent, that's what I would do. But I'd say that now, looking a little harder at that, more this angle here.
Okay.
And that might be a little fast at 42, but it might not be, actually.
Yeah. And it's better to give the heads up instead of it being too slow. So especially with them kind of joining up, I wouldn't mind that one bit. So let's take a look at that list that Matt just drew out, which we can go back to now. That way it won't keep switching. Ludlow around 448, Beach around 450. I know a lot of us want to go there for over spring break. Just got to get through this weather first, and definitely some more severe weather down the road, but we'll keep you all informed as we get ready for the work week. If you're
What's
staying,
beach? What do you mean by? Oh, you mean the beach?
oh,
Not
I
just
mean the beach for spring break.
Oh, okay, got it. Are you going to the beach?
Not
for
beach,
spring break?
Mississippi. Do what?
Oh, that's right. You're going. To be in college. Okay,
Oh yeah.
keep going. Good luck. I'm done talking to you.
Beach, Mississippi for 450. Contrail around 455. Lana around 457. Lillian 459. East Hillsboro around 5. Abdan 502. Harperville 502. Midway 502 as well. Gil or Jill, I'd be curious to learn that one. 505. Wolf at 505. Steele 507. Freeney at 509. And Piketown at 410. I clicked on the wrong one again. I don't know why I keep doing that. Let's bump this up just a little bit, talk about some other cities. Walnut Grove around 510, Pearl River around 533. I know that's another big one here in Mississippi. And then Philadelphia at 544. So I know people were asking about Philadelphia earlier in the comments. You can take a look. We're going to start to see some of that rainfall move in a little bit closer. You can even see here, if I can switch this over, we're tracking this line right here, kind of moving its way northeastern towards y'all. But notice y'all have a little heavier of a band just northwest of y'all as well. So that'll continue kind of pushing in. Y'all could see some rainfall a little bit earlier, but that intense sail where we're getting a lot of reflectivity returns with this, where we could be tracking some hail. That'll take a little bit longer to get to you guys right now, a little bit less than an hour. Could see that speed up just a little bit, but that Morton storm continues to be very impressive. Let's go to peak threats. I know that one will probably definitely, I'm saying all the words today. Let's go, Jackson. It'll be impressive. Take a look at those threats. Yeah, I mean, take a look at that. I mean, I would not be shocked that this is producing around an inch of hail, maybe a little bit over. It's going to be saying probably 3+ here. So yeah, I don't think we're that 3+ range, but the reflectivity, I mean, this is very impressive within that Morton area as it continues passing on through you guys. Eureka around, let's see if I can click that. Oh, I got to cancel this. There we go. Oh wait, I think you're trying to change to DBC or reflectivity. Were you wanting to switch something? Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, showing a little bit more possible, which those are better returns as compared to the stuff we've seen here in North Mississippi. So just showing increased confidence with that hail threat. Again, sponsored by True Shield Roofing. We appreciate you guys for sponsoring this graphic. But yeah, definitely showing a little bit more probable, and this is better scans than we've seen here in North Mississippi. So this is just south of our viewing area, kind of passing through the Jackson region, getting closer and closer. I know people were asking about the Philadelphia region just south of Louisville. So definitely something that we're going to continue monitoring as those severe thunderstorm warnings continue moving further and further northeast towards us here in North Mississippi. But I mean, you got to take a look at those return values, kind of showing that there's something up there that's highly reflective, and it's not just a lot of water droplets. That would be some ice crystals and some hail up there, kind of showing that that's taking place within that system. So let's continue kind of going back further north as we'll track kind of the rest of our viewing area up north here. Take a look. Actually, let's switch this over to show that line a little bit more prominent as it continues moving on through North Mississippi. For those out there at Oktibbeha County, I know when I started, we were talking about it getting closer towards the Golden Triangle region. For Starkville and pretty much West Point, y'all are starting to see a lot clearer conditions, if that's the right word for it, not as heavy as it was. We can take a live look out there along Highway 12. Wait for those cameras to load in just a little bit. But take a look at that temperature drop going from those low 80s to the low 60s. So that's a 20-degree temperature swing. So still, I mean, right where we should be for this time of year. We're not talking about any frigid or Arctic conditions by any means, but definitely some nice ones. So 63 is the temperature out there at Starkville. 9-mile-per-hour winds coming out of the north. You can tell people are driving totally fine. It's not really a heavy downpour or super gusty out there in Starkville. We can even go closer towards the west side, closer towards Adenton. See those overcast kind of just gray clouds continuing to blow on through the area, allowing for those soggy conditions to continue to take place. Let's go up even into West Point as well, as we're kind of tracking the same exact thing. Not too much going on as that heavier precip is continuing to make its way towards Lowndes County and through Columbus. 63 degrees feels like 63. That northerly wind continues to allow us to feel a lot better outdoors. We just would rather stay a little bit drier as we wrap up our evening and get ready for the rest of our Saturday in store. Columbus, this data coming in or not coming in right now today, but still kind of seeing those soggy conditions as that band continues moving on through Lowndes County and crossing the state line into Alabama. So still just kind of a soggy forecast. It's going to continue to be the main focus point for tonight. That severe weather risk, not really a high end. Just wanted to make sure to continue tracking that out all day with you guys, just in case we see anything try to spin up. But that's pretty much it going on here in North Mississippi. It's just a whole lot of rainfall, kind of a brighter band out here in Choctaw County, just north of Ackerman, just kind of showing some heavier rainfall. Nothing really associated with that. We can even go through all our products, just showing that wind continuing to blow on through. Take a look at that gray. What we were just talking about, showing not much wind. It's not really, it's kind of flowing more parallel with that radar. So not really seeing anything as evident as we would see on those cameras. For that severe threat, as we take a look at our peak threats all across North Mississippi, I mean, this is typically what you want to see if we're talking about peak threats, and that's just a whole lot of green. I know we can handle some rainfall here in North Mississippi. A lot of us probably wanting it due to us still kind of dealing with those drought conditions as we transition from winter and into spring. So noticing that we have a lot of green for our peak threats and not really seeing many of those blues or even any of those pinks start to pop up. That's a big story. We weren't really tracking out anything tornadic. We don't really have the necessary ingredients. Where we do see a little bit of that blue start to pop up, it's with that front leading line, and that's with that line that pretty much already blew through North Mississippi, so not affecting us here as much anymore. Definitely crossing the state line and heading more towards Alabama as well. We start to see that affecting just a little bit of those out there in Lowndes and Noxubee County. We can go back to reflectivity to kind of see what it's picking up on, and that's that higher DBZ that I used earlier, that higher reflectivity, just showing there's a lot more going on above you in that region. And for something that looks pretty much as calm as that, if that's the right word, as compared to something more extreme, just kind of showing that heavier rainfall continues to be the story for those in Plum Grove and Big Bee Valley as it continues moving closer towards Archer, crossing the state line and into Alabama. So again, not tracking out anything intense. We still don't even have those severe thunderstorm warnings up north east that we were talking about and tracking earlier. So showing that that's still on the decline just a little bit more higher reflectivity popping up just a little bit east of Ashbank, of some heavy rainfall continuing to push on through. But that's about it. Just heavy rain, heavy wind, and the more active weather still kind of making its way a little bit closer towards our viewing area as those severe thunderstorm warnings that we're talking about in the Jackson region, which I might just spend more time on just due to there not being much here in North Mississippi, just due to that rain continuing to blow on through. This could be something that we want to keep tracking just in case it gets closer and closer towards our viewing area within our region here, which we'll see. There we go, Matt. What are your takes on those severe thunderstorm warnings as they kind of honestly keep their intensity, and reflectivity still seems pretty strong with it?
They're fairly hefty. I think you're probably getting ping pong ball size hail out of that one there near Morton, moving toward Walnut Grove. I think the angle on that keeps it just a little bit south of us, not by much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would say that's probably a little bit south. Let's go ahead and put a loop on that. But here's what I'm thinking: we will probably shut things down at 5 o'clock to give a few minutes here for you to kind of get ready for the 6 o'clock show and get some stuff up and going. So that just kind of a heads up for folks. That's kind of my plan, is that we'll probably do that. But yeah, so I would say that it's possible that we have some of these storms get close. But I honestly think they probably stay just a little bit south. It would, anyway. So that's I guess the quick answer on that. You look at the hail swath on that. You do see a little bit of that kind of convergence here. I'll go and pop it to me for a minute. I appreciate it, Caleb. You've been doing a great job there. Again, these kind of consolidate sort of this direction more toward Philadelphia and DeKalb there, more so than into our North Mississippi. Our kind of cutoff here for the southern fringe is down here. Winston, Noxubee County. That's not to say if we didn't have something super significant, we wouldn't go farther south and cover that. It's just to say that that's at least at this point where we typically cover it. So, but I think this big conglomeration, it's not like this halo is going to kind of cross back behind. That's not what happens here. All the fuels, or more of the fuel's been used up here, so it just kind of typically stays just a little ahead. That angle might eventually catch the southern part of Noxubee County. We just have some time before that's the case. So I do think we'll probably kind of go ahead and shut this on down coming up at 5 p.m. here. So kind of as we work toward that understanding and a wrap up here of what we're looking at, I'm kind of monitoring in some of what you guys have submitted as far as pictures are concerned behind the scenes here. Almost everything has been, some kind of a dark cloud. We have not had a lot of reports of damage and things of that nature, thankfully. So hopefully that will continue to be the case. But I think a quick all clears for some folks that might still be watching us and have some questions as to what is going on. I think we can kind of go with some all clears here for a moment. And certainly for most locations, we find ourselves in the all clear. I mean, I'd say everything outside of maybe far southwest Winston or southeast Winston, Noxubee and Pickens County, everything else outside of that is no chance of severe weather going forward tonight. We've kind of used up everything that we have. Kind of the wider shot here shows, again, looking at our NEXRAD mosaic, which is kind of the wide view. You can see where there is fuel out here ahead and where there isn't back behind. So that's why we're transitioning out of this at this point in time. Now, coming up here, our next live broadcast will be at 6 p.m. Our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, will again have updates related to all of the active weather that we have going on out there. And we're going to be looking ahead towards severe weather threats for Monday and a more significant one for Wednesday of next week. I think there's a much better chance to possibly see some tornadoes with that threat. You'll have an update here in the Room to Room Weather Center related to that and what you can expect coming up at 6 p.m. here. So we hope you'll stick with us. I'll probably pop in to say something because you know me, I can't really keep my mouth shut. We appreciate y'all, though, for sticking with us, for all the sponsors, for sponsoring what we do here on Mississippi Live Weather. And we, of course, do live newscasts 5, 6, and 10 Monday through Friday at 6:37 and 7:30 a.m. here in the Room to Room Weather Center. We'll see you then.